Hey everybody, Ryan Dorn here, and welcome to the broadcast for the month of March here at Sales Training World. Thrilled to have just spent so much time with some fine folks in Indiana, and I appreciate so many of you coming out for our conference there on manufacturing. A lot of you know that my focus is media and digital technology, and we're doing a lot of training work in the manufacturing space as well, which I have actually really grown to love. This last group was a group that works in the manufacturing of farm equipment, and some of you don't know that I actually grew up on a farm in Iowa, in eastern Iowa, and my folks still continue to be on that farm today. So a big shout out to all you fine folks in the Hoosier State there in Indiana. And of course, would love to come and train your team as well. So reach out to me. Also, if you would send in your questions, we'd like to feature your questions right here on the broadcast each and every month. So send those questions to Ryan at brainswellmedia.com. Ryan at brainswellmedia.com. All right, so let's get to this month's question. Where's the question at, guys? There it is. All right, so the question is from Joyce in Boston. Joyce, thanks so much for sending in your question. And so, Joyce, just so you know, we kind of summarized it a little bit, so don't be mad at me. Flat out, it says, Ryan, flat out, I need more meetings. My boss says, send more emails, make more phone calls. Is he right? Is he wrong? Some advice is appreciated. Joyce, thanks for the question. I can't say that your boss is either right or wrong. I think that probably your boss is somewhere in the middle. So a lot of times when things aren't going well and we need more meetings, one of the ideas is just to ramp up our quantity. And what I would suggest is you actually do need to ramp up your quantity, but then you also need to wrap up your quality. And that really is the focus of what we're going to talk about in this edition here of the Sales Training World podcast and broadcast. In my opinion, the key to your success in the world of sales is increasing the number of meetings that you're granted by prospective clients. It doesn't matter whether you're selling software, doing software demos, you're selling advertising, or trying to sell tractors like the folks that I just was working with in Indiana. Developing an effective process for getting to those meetings, an effective prospecting process is mission critical to your success. Now, one of the first things that I actually have a lot of folks that are in the sales training business with me nationally, and we disagree on this point. I actually don't like to sell during the prospecting phase. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I pride myself in, and maybe I'll make it the title of my next book, and that is the less you sell, the more you sell. Do you agree with me on that? The less you sell, the more you sell. So during the prospecting phase, I noticed that a lot of reps are actually trying to sell. So when you're trying to get a meeting with somebody, you're leaving voicemails like, I've got a great solution to fix this problem. These are the features, advantages, and benefits of our software. Or you're trying to sell the features, advantages, and benefits of your advertising product, or whatever the circumstance is in those prospecting emails and voicemails. What I'd love for you to do, I've developed a process to get to these meetings that I like to call the target process. So it's TARGET, like target, like a target that you're going to use like a bow and arrow. You're going to shoot an arrow into a target, all right? So for almost 25 years, I've been in the sales and marketing business. I've sold almost everything that I can think of, from cable television all the way to cell phones at one point in time. And I think this works even in that particular business as well. So let's talk about this target process. The T in target process stands for time. Time, like tick-tock, time on a clock. A person's time is highly valuable to them each and every day. As a matter of fact, I might even suggest to you that time is one of the top 5 things in terms of what's valued by people, just by human beings. So let's just say that you value your family, your God, your bank account. Let's say I said your family. I'm trying to think of one other thing. Your kids, all those type of things. Time is right at the very top. I think you would agree with me. So the main reason that more prospects do not grant you access to their calendar or don't give you meetings is because of time. So, or lack thereof, or their perceived lack thereof. So one of the things that I very often do is I want to change my prospecting templates to focus in on not wasting people's time. Now, it's important for me to point out, a lot of you will use a trite. Trite means overused, okay? An overused phrase, something like, I know your time is valuable, when you're trying to communicate with the prospect. In my opinion, and I think that I'm right because it's used on me, that's really overused. So instead, I say things like, I want to be respectful of your time, but I don't want to waste your time. And so I think the idea that I have for you is worth your time. So let's just say as an example that you're selling a piece of software that will increase somebody's productivity by, say, 35%. And you know that based on past sales. See, I would focus in on that type of thing as opposed to selling, but I would mention very specifically, I promise not to waste your time. I believe this idea is worth your time. Rather than saying, I want to be respectful of your time, rather than saying, I know your time is valuable, focus in on you not wasting their time. Now, I even have a sales rep right now. One of their go-to statements is, I know a lot of salespeople are a colossal waste of time. I'm not one of them. Now, that might make you cringe. You might say, Ryan, I don't want to demean my profession. I don't think you're demeaning your profession. I think what you're doing is you're stating what every prospect is thinking. And that is, when I ask for 10 minutes of your time, Mr. Prospect, Mr. Advertiser, whatever, what I really mean is, once you get me in the door, I'm going to stick around for 60 minutes. So I think that we have to be very careful about that. So when I'm targeting my emails and targeting my voicemails to try to get more meetings, and Joyce, remember, that's your goal, to get more meetings, the first thing in that target sequence is really promising not to waste somebody's time. Okay, so that's the T in target. All right, so let's talk about the A in target. The A in target stands for authentic. Authentic. So it's important that you prove to people that you are authentic, and it's hard. Showing that you are authentic in your emails and your voicemails is mission critical to breaking through the ice, especially with somebody that you don't know. And that's really the important part. A lot of the people that you're reaching out to, you have no relationship with. They don't know you. So because of this, they really are reluctant to grant you access to their calendar or to their time. So I try to make sure I come across as being very, very authentic. So for example, in my voicemails and emails, as I'm communicating with them, I say things like, I truly feel this idea will benefit you. Or, I've seen firsthand how this solution will benefit you. Or, I have been referred to you by so-and-so. They've seen the benefit. I would like to show this to you as well. I like to use a lot of firsthand experiences in terms of me being very authentic. The other thing is the way that you communicate via voicemail. Let's talk about voicemails for a second. A lot of national sales trainers would tell you, listen, don't even bother. Why leave a voicemail? No one's going to call you back anyway. Ooh, I disagree with that. Well, I don't disagree that people aren't going to call you back. I'm in sales every day just like you. What I am going to say is I can express my charisma so much better in a voicemail. I can say, they can hear the passion in my voice. Maybe you've got a sexy sounding voice or whatever the circumstance is. For me, being authentic is you being you. If you're goofy, okay, keep it under control, but be yourself. If you're funny, be funny. If you're cute, be cute. If you're candid, be candid. But I mean, be careful about being too candid. But you want to be yourself and you want to be authentic. Somebody once said to me, Ryan, how do I be more authentic? Wow. That's really hard to explain because I kind of feel like you either are or you aren't yourself. I guess I would give you this piece of advice. If you try to be something you're not, typically that's the definition of what it means to be unauthentic. So really kind of be who you are. All right? Okay, so that's the T. All right, so the T was time. The A in target was authentic. The R stands for relevant. Okay, relevant. You want to be highly relevant. There's really nothing worse, in my opinion, than receiving some long email from a sales rep that I don't know that's not relevant. I mean, I'm blown away. I'm amazed at the number of salespeople that just don't take the simple steps, the time to do a little research about me. The other thing as it relates to being authentic and being relevant is when they do get me on the phone and they say things like, Ryan, let me ask you a question. Okay, go ahead. What keeps you up at night? Now, I just want you to know, if any of you call me and try to sell me something and you ask that question, here's what I'm going to say. My wife. Why do you ask? Because I just feel like it's not authentic. It's not relevant. So what I want to do in preparation for prospecting a new client, in an effort to get to a meeting, I want to go to their LinkedIn profile. I want to learn a little bit about them. I want to go to the company's Facebook page. Now, I might go to that person's personal Facebook just to find out a little bit more about them, but I'm not going to mention those things because that's creepy. Would you agree? Mentioning somebody's cute kid or the fact that they were dangling their toes, their cutely painted toes in a pool in Aruba. That's weird. That's odd. Yet a lot of people teach that. The definition of relevant is in preparation for reaching out to you. I saw that you're promoting product 123 on your company Facebook page. Or before I emailed you, I did a little research and I see that you're trying to reach the healthcare market in this specific category. That to me is proving to be, I want to be relevant. Now, let's say you do get to a meeting, and we'll talk about this at another time. I want to prove that I'm relevant really fast. Younger buyers out there, younger buyers of products, they have no tolerance for people that don't do their homework. So I'm here kind of slightly scolding some of you that are operating within sales organizations or are really in favor of these mass generic emails that are being sent because they lack relevancy. Now, another way to prove that you're relevant, mention their competitors or mention something that you found on Google Alerts or that you really did some research online and looked at an executive report or a shareholder's report or whatever the circumstance is. Maybe you noticed on LinkedIn that you both worked at a certain company years and years ago, or you noticed under their interests that they're into, paddle sailing, or they're into building their cabin in the Sierra wilderness, or whatever the circumstance is. All those things help you with the A and the R in the target system I'm teaching you, and that is authenticity and being relevant. Now, you might say, Ryan, really? Seriously, dude, this is so obvious. Yeah, it is. I swear to you, I could be Captain Obvious for some of the people that I'm working with. But if you really ask yourself, do you take the time to say to them, the T in Target, I want to be respectful of your time, and I'm not going to waste your time. The A in Target, being really, really sensitive to being authentic. The R in the Target system, being exceedingly relevant. Okay, let's move on to the G. The G is go. The G in the Target process is go. This premise is simple. I want your emails and your voicemails to be focused, to be go focused. We want the email and the voicemail to have a speed and language that moves them forward. And we need to ask them to do so. Now, I'm not asking you to be pushy. There's nothing worse than pushy. And I'm not against used car salesmen when I make this comment. You just don't want to sound like you're trying to sell something to somebody that they don't want. So as an example, you would say, I truly feel, to be authentic, I've seen this firsthand, I truly feel that this solution would help you with whatever the problem is. Be specific as you can. Can we chat for 20 minutes next Tuesday at 2? I want to move them going forward. Be very, very specific at a certain time. And it's important to understand each component of this target process that I'm teaching you, we could probably spend an hour on each component. But I want you to understand everything, all the language needs to be go focused, okay, forward focused. All right, the E in the target process. So again, the T was time. Yeah, promise not to waste their time. The A was authentic. You want your emails and voicemails to be authentic. The R was relevant. The G was go focused. You want everything to be going forward. All right, the E in the target system stands for ethical. Okay, now why do I bring this up? Have you ever received an email from a salesperson or from someone where the subject line was great and it got you to open it up? Then you look at the email and you're like, I've just been had. Okay, because the email subject line is something completely different. Well, you feel like you've been tricked. It's sort of a bait and switch scenario. Okay, guys, that's not what we're looking for. Okay, we don't want that. As I'm talking through all these things, I want to applaud those of you that are highly ethical. Now, with that being said, your subject line of your emails are mission critical. Mission critical. I did an entire webinar and an entire blog here at salestrainingworld.com and over at 360adsales.com. Check it out. It's on 10 great subject lines. So you want your subject lines to be ethical. Now, in your voicemails that you're leaving with people, you want to make sure that you don't exaggerate. You want to make sure that you don't come across as being over the top. You want to make sure that everything that you say and do is highly, highly ethical. Again, you might say, Ryan, people don't do that. Yes, they don't. Okay, they don't. A lot of people will use language and examples and subject lines that will bait and switch people into opening those emails. When they open an email that's unethical or using unethical tactics, they won't like you. I've never opened one and went, dang, that person got me. I'd like to hire them. Okay, it typically doesn't happen. And that's why the E in the target system is being very ethical. All right, the final T in target stands for tick-tock. Tick-tock like the clock, meaning tick-tock, tick-tock. And you have to ask yourself, when is the best time to call and prospect people within the industry that you serve? Okay, that's what the tick-tock is all about. So let's review this again. The target is, the first T is time. You don't want to waste their time. And you want to say that. Okay, the second, all right, so we've got the T. All right, the second is being authentic. A. The A is authentic. The R is being relevant, highly relevant. Be specific, be relevant. All right? The G is go. You want things to be go-focused. The E in target is ethical, and the final T in target stands for tick-tock. Here's what I have found. Okay, let me ask you this question first. What are the two most common times in corporate America for corporate meetings? When do most people book the majority of meetings each year? Any ideas on that? Yeah, call out your guess. What do you think it is? Typically, it's 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. are two of typically the most common times for meetings in corporate America. So if you are a salesperson, you are prospecting at 10 or 2 in your client's time zone, it's highly likely you're going to get voicemail and you're not going to get a good response to their emails. Now, why is it that most people in corporate America do not book meetings at 11:15 and 4:15 or 11:30 or 4:30 in their time zone? Well, most people don't book meetings at 11:30 because they don't want to get involved in a meeting and mess up their lunch plans. Fair enough? Okay. And then how about 4:15 or 4:30? You probably guessed it. Happy hour. They don't want to interrupt going home or whatever the circumstance is. Now, some of you listening to this podcast or watching the broadcast video online will recognize that your particular industry is different. You've got different times, so you need to adjust for that. What I can tell you, though, is I've been taught for years by all the greats in the sales business, call early in the morning. That's when the boss is there. And what I have found is that actually doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work very well. What I found is that 11:15 and 4:15, depending upon your industry, are typically the best times to call. All right, so let's bring this conversation of target. Now let's circle back. In sales, you are going to need to work harder. But rather than just increasing the quantity, I want to suggest that you're going to increase the quality using this target-based systems. So you want to make sure that you're promising in the voicemails and emails the T in target, not to waste their time. The A in target, you want to be highly authentic in all of your communications, voicemails and emails. The R, you want to be highly relevant. Be specific, mention specific products or solutions in your voicemails and emails. The G, you want everything in your voicemails and emails to be go-focused. E in target, ethical. Every way you communicate needs to be above board. And T stands for tick-tock, like the clock. Tick-tock, tick-tock. You want to prospect at the perfect time. If you adopt this process into your prospecting system, one of the things I think you'll find is great success because all of these are active components to a highly successful prospecting plan. Now, you might not have a prospecting plan. That could potentially be fundamentally your problem. You don't have a prospecting plan, and so you're calling people randomly, and that, my friends, can be a recipe for disaster. All right, so Joyce, I hope that helps you, and I hope that the rest of you that are listening and watching will find that target system helpful as well. Love to answer your questions here on the podcast. Send me those questions to ryan@brainswellmedia.com. And while I mostly focus on media, technology, now in manufacturing, do a little work in aviation, our programs work for basically any outside sales organization. So I'd love to chat with you about that. Love to come and speak at your sales meetings. Love to coach you and be a part of that process. We've got coaches here at Sales Training World ready and willing to help you. So just reach out, ryan@brainswellmedia.com. All right, friends, we'll see you on the next broadcast. Keep your questions coming this way. And never forget, if sales was easy, everybody'd be doing it, and they're not. So we're either crazy or we found a profession that's going to feed our families for a lifetime. All right, friends, get out there and sell something so that your boss will hire me and bring me in. And we'll see you next time here on the broadcast. All right, friends, God bless. We'll see you out on the street.